Hi everyone! For today's video, I am finally starting to get caught up on Flower Nose. Now, I do have two collections that I need to talk about, the Swan Ballet collection and the Little Angel collection. It's going to take me multiple videos to fully cover all of the products because I just don't really have it in me right now to be able to film multiple sessions and stitch everything together. I will have all of the products that I use listed in the description box, so if you scroll through the description box and you do not see a product you wanted to see reviewed mentioned, it is not in the video. You can just skip this, wait, or browse some of my other videos. So I hope that helps you. I will be telling you guys what foundation and concealer I am using, since that will help inform you on how I use the powders and the Little Angel primer. So otherwise, usually I'd come to you with a base already done, but Flower Nose did release a primer with the Little Angel collection that I will just go ahead and talk about today because I have already used it several times. To start with, I'm going to use the LANEIGE Cream Skin Mist. I am kind of interested in the idea of priming with serums in the future. I had some people on Instagram suggest to me some serums and face milks that they like. I know Jessica Vu really likes one, and I was kind of interested maybe in the SOS spray or the D'Alba truffle spray. I know that one is being sponsored a lot all of a sudden, so anyways, I've been interested, but for now I'm just going to use this LANEIGE one. This is a Bobbi Brown eye cream, but I'm just going to use this as my all-over starting moisturizer. I bought it like half off, but still, I was like, you know what? I might as well just use it. Okay, so I am going to very quickly introduce to you the primer of choice. This is the Dewy Hydrating Primer from Flower Nose. Now, this actually has a very interesting texture, which is why I was so attracted to it in the first place. So if I take off this top here, you will notice how it kind of like, do you see how this product sticks to the top? It's not liquidy at all. It doesn't move or flow. But once you start rubbing it in, it will start to become a thinner, more watery consistency. And so when I first saw this, I got really excited because I thought it might be similar to the Dominique Cosmetics primer, which comes out more thickly and doesn't flow. But the moment you start rubbing it in, it turns extremely watery. And I really like it because it both hydrates and blurs my skin. And I've really not ever seen another primer be similarly good at both. I'm on my last backup now. I still cannot believe there is no market equivalent for me to replace that primer with, so I was very excited to try this. I thought it would be similar. So right now, when I put it on my skin, when I first put it on my skin, it turns into a watery serum and it feels immediately so intensely hydrating and a little bit cooling too. But then it does dry down. And so when I first applied it, I was so excited because I thought, oh my gosh, this feels exactly like it's going to be a replacement for my Dominique Cosmetics primer. I was so excited, but then a few minutes later, it had completely dried down to feel almost more like professional light, and I was kind of sad. So unfortunately, this is still not a perfect replacement for me, but it is by no means bad. I think this is going to be, the reason I think that this is going to be such a great primer for the summer is because it's going to hydrate my skin, but then it's going to still form that nice amount of blurring, and it's going to form a nice layer between my skin and the foundation such that my foundation lasts longer. So I still think that this is not a bad primer, but it is unfortunately not what I was looking for on its own right. It, I think, still is a perfectly good product. It also comes with 50 grams of product. That is, you know, that is a lot. If you're looking for something that is blurring but also a little bit hydrating, then I think you will really like this. It does not leave a cast or anything, but like you can see that now that it's dried down, how it doesn't really, it's not leaving behind as much of a glow as my Dominique Cosmetics one. You can really see that. So my skin doesn't feel dry, but at the same time, it's not quite as hydrating as my Dominique one. So this here, you see how my skin looks here? This is why I think this will be such a good primer during the summer. I'm going to use my Rare Beauty under eye corrector. I was just at the Charlotte Oddities and Curiosities Expo this weekend, and while I was there, this is the corrector I brought with me. So this comes traveling with me all the time. Whenever I'm traveling for any duration of time and I know I'm going to be wearing makeup while I'm traveling, this under eye brightener comes with me. Sometimes for shorter trips, I'll even bring this and not even bother to bring a concealer, especially if I just need to look a little bit more awake. I'm not putting on like full glam. Okay, so I'm gonna do my foundation and I will jump cut through this part pretty quickly, I think. I haven't used this foundation in a while. I'm gonna be using the Valentino Beauty Foundation. I just gave it a fresh shake, so this is what it looks like. I have it in the lightest shade LIGR1. I kind of want to do a video where I actually swatch all of my foundations next to each other, more for me than for you guys, but I figure if I'm going to do it, I might as well film it so you guys can see what all the foundations look like on my arm. Okay, so I'm also now going to very quickly put on my concealer to use this Cover Perfection concealer from the SAEM today. It is less drying than my JX Professional one, but it does have less coverage. The reason I'm using this today is just because of the fact that my skin is on the drier side. This is in the shade 03. They have multiple shades, so if you're looking to get it, then just make sure you do look at the shade selection. Before I proceed, I am going to go ahead and use a little bit of setting spray. I'm going to put on my eye primer now. I'm going to be using the SUQQU eye primer because Flower Nose matte their matte eyeshadow formula can sometimes be a little bit drying on my eyelids if I don't prep them carefully. So I'm just going to go ahead and use this. I accidentally put retinol on my eyelid a week ago at this point, and I woke up the next morning and my right eyelid was so swollen and red, and it took several days for it to go down. And even today, I probably shouldn't be wearing makeup today, but I wore makeup on Saturday when I was at the expo, and the next morning it was fine, so I figured it was fine for me to film today. But I totally was so annoyed at that because it ended up costing me like 2 or 3 days of being able to film because I couldn't put anything on my eyelid while it was healing. And I did some more research and I found that retinol seems to have kind of really gnarly consequences potentially for eyeballs. So I don't know if I want to use retinol anymore. I kind of maybe am thinking I'll just switch to doing more research into peptides, honestly. Okay, so I'm going to use the Benefit Precisely My Brow in Cool Gray. So I'm just going to quickly cut through this in post. Kind of rushing my eyebrows right now, so they're not the best, but I'm going to use my brow flick now. So this will be my first time doing an eyeshadow look with Flower Nose shadows that are this intense. Generally speaking, Flower Nose eyeshadows usually are a little bit more neutral, and if they are colors, they're usually a bit more pastel or desaturated. So this will kind of be their first time doing mattes that are doing a matte red that is this intense. So I will be interested in seeing what happens. It looks a little bit more desaturated and burgundy as opposed to an intense crimson. It gives off more the impression of like dried blood red, for lack of a better word. The embossments in this eyeshadow palette series are in particular a lot more elaborate than their previous collections. The Swan Ballet collection in particular, I would say, is kind of their more detailed collection yet in terms of the packaging, just having so many fine details and very Rococo inspired decorations. So I'm using a fluffier brush, so I'm not quite getting like full intense opaque opacity, but it still looks really, really nice. And even though I'm using it on like a tackier eye primer, it is blending out really easily if I wanted to. I'm not really wanting to blend it right now, but it's already kind of starting to blend. The edges are kind of already starting to blend themselves. And then I'm going to go into the other quad now, and I'm going to go into this shade right here. I'm going to use this shade to blend out the red. And I tapped into it very lightly, and then I tapped off most of the excess because I really just want to use this to blend out the red. You can see all the breakouts along here. It makes it really annoying to put eyeshadow on because the eyeshadow will it'll look patchy around there because of all the bumps. So you'll just have to ignore them. I actually think I maybe shouldn't have used this brown. I feel like this brown is just making it look muddy. That's okay, it's too late now. We'll work with it. Okay, so I'm gonna switch gears. I think I maybe should have just used the gray to start with. This is gonna just become one of those trust the process moments. I kind of didn't really have a fully conceptualized idea of what I wanted. I just knew I wanted to use the red somehow. And so because of that, sometimes my lack of planning bites me in the butt a little bit. And I mean, you can see how easily these shades are blending. So that's nice. So that's looking extremely muddy. So I'm going to go back into the red. And to do that, I'm going to go ahead and actually switch to using a flatter brush. So I actually used this for my concealer earlier, but I did wash it. I also can use the shimmers later to cover up these mistakes. So I'm a little bit frustrated at myself, but it happens. I'm going to take a completely clean blending brush, and I'm just going to see if I can use that clean blending brush to try and spread a little bit more of this out. Again, the bumps and breakouts that are kind of right on the outer edge of my eyelid are not doing me any favors here, but let me see if I can just get some of this to smooth out a little bit. Some of these have been ongoing at this point for over a month, and I just don't know what to do about it. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and switch to the lower lash line because I'm getting a little bit frustrated, and just go ahead and drop some red underneath. I'm going to try using the white black and red palette and see if I can use the white a little bit. The white is a lot more powdery than all the other shades in this palette, but I guess since it's a white, it's fine. I'm gonna kind of almost use this white like an eraser, push back on some of this color. You can also see that this burgundy is not quite applying super evenly. I feel like I wasn't able to get a completely even layer, but I also don't have access to my most favorite brushes right now because they're all dirty, so I'm sure that did not help. So I'm going to try using the black in this palette, although it doesn't look quite black, it just looks like a really dark charcoal gray. And I'm going to use this to start adding some depth. I think some of the muddiness of this look may be counteracted by increasing the overall contrast. So if I just make this look a lot darker, I may be able to mask the muddiness by just making the muddy part of the look lighter. And this dark shade is blending out super easily. So you can see that added a nice amount of depth. What's interesting is that aside from the white, all of the shades I've used so far, the pans themselves have had no kickback or powderiness at all. They almost feel baked. Very, very interesting. And it's nice because it means that you can work with these dark shades without fearing them falling all over your face. I'm gonna go ahead and take some of this also down here, just hugging it really close to my lashes. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the dark red again. I really want it to be more prominent, I think, on the front half. So this is what the eye look is looking like now. It is looking like honestly, it looks like a total and complete mess. We'll just have to kind of work with it. I'm going to definitely be playing with these shimmers a lot and using these shimmers to conceal a lot of this mess. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with this silver, and I'm going to use the silver very, very, very generously on basically at what feels like my entire eyelid. So I am going to go in with my finger now. It has a very, very smooth feeling in the pan. Almost kind of felt a little bit oily, but we'll see. And I'm gonna take this silver and just take it all across the top middle of my eyelid. Just using this really to kind of hide all of my problems. You can see how the base is translucent. There's not much base pigmentation to it, so I can use it on top of my eyeshadow and you can still see what's going on underneath. In this case, you can see the particles are very fine, so it works that way really well. So that is what that looks like. So I'm gonna use a brush now to kind of spread out the particles. I'm gonna go into this shimmer here. This shimmer seems like it's gonna have kind of a pink or purple catch to it. So again, I clean my brushes. I'm gonna use this on the inner corner. Yeah, you can see the pink and purple reflect it has. So that is going to be how that's looking so far. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and take the silver under my lower lash line as well. This is such a beautiful glittery silver and it doesn't feel chunky or heavy. That's what that's looking like so far. So I think now with the shimmer on, things look a little bit less awful. I think I might go ahead and try using this one over here. I might try using this one in conjunction with the silver on my eyelid and see what happens. It might help it blend into the red. Okay, yeah, that helped because you can see that the red shifts of this shimmer, it helps kind of get the silver to mix into the red a little bit better. So I'm just going to use this to stamp on more of the eyeshadow where I want it. And I'm gonna use the white right over here. I don't really want to have a super muddy inner area, so I'm just going to use this white to really brighten it up. This is honestly a really good white, actually. I'm not mad at this white at all. And then lastly, I'm going to go into the pinker palette and I'm going to use the pink matte here. I'm going to use this one to blend out the red. So it's going to kind of make the lower lash line look a little bit more kind of feminine, but I think it'll be fine. That is going to be this eye look. So it was a little bit of a trip to get here and I'm still not completely happy with it, but you can see how using a little bit of shimmer can really help to kind of hide most of the most egregious mistakes. And I'm also going to go ahead and put on some false lashes off camera to further kind of hide things. And then I'll be back and I will finish off this face of makeup using more Flower Nose products. Okay, so I put on my mascara, I put on my false lashes. These are just from Doe Lashes. I used a little bit of waterproof mascara on my upper lashes just so that you don't see like a double row of lashes. First, I am going to use the blushes from the Swan Ballet collection, which I like stuck them way down in my little caddy, so I need to find them. The first shade I got is this here, and they all kind of, these are powder blushes, but they feel like they're more baked feeling just by looking at how smooth and shiny the pan is. So I'll use this one to blend out whatever I lay down, but I am gonna pull for a completely different shade as like my key blush shade. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this shade in my Clinique Trio, this shade right here. I'm not sure what it's called because unfortunately the shade names are not written on it. So now I'm going to take the shade 04, which I cannot pronounce the word, but it's the shade 04. I'm going to take this and I'm going to use this to blend out what I just laid down. So you can see on the brush. And I also kind of applied it a little bit unevenly close to my eye because I hadn't set my face yet. So I'm also going to use this color to kind of blend out and soften the entire blush application, which is mostly what I like to use the Flower Nose blushes for. I use them to blend out, soften, and kind of fill the space. I'll frequently bring these shades really close to my nose because they're so light that I can afford to do that. These embossings do wear off really quickly. That's kind of, it always is a little bit sad to see that. Even if with just like maybe only 10 or so uses, you'll start to see the embossment really wear away. So that is using that shade to blend out and soften the darker shade of blush. You can see it worked really, really well for that, but it's just not something everybody does. And it only works on like my skin tone for that purpose even. So, okay, so next I really want to show you, I'm gonna jump over to the Little Angel collection for the highlighters. I only got 2 of the 4 shades of highlighters when I initially got it. I do have the other 2 shades in my super buy cart. They're actually in the warehouse waiting. I'm just gonna lump it in with a couple more orders to save shipping. I did order the other 2 shades. I just don't have them yet. So these are the shades 3 and 4. When I first saw the initial marketing, I for some reason was under the impression that shades 1 and 2 were matte highlighters. No, they're not. They're all highlighters that glow. But I initially only got 3 and 4 because I thought those were the only sparkly highlighters. Really beautiful packaging. You can see the hollow in the back. And I've always been a finger person with my highlighters. I've always felt like it looked better that way. So I'm just gonna keep doing that. I personally really like the Flower Nose highlighter formula, at least in the Little Angel, OG Little Angel collection. I was so sad that Revelation never restocked so that more people couldn't get their hands on it because it is still, to this day, one of my favorite highlighters of all time. Feel like no other highlighter in my collection comes even close to giving a similar feeling. So I'm hoping that these will be similar. So this is, I think, this is not as glowy as Revelation is. This is a lot softer. Yeah, I'm not quite getting as much glow from this as I got off of Revelation. You can see this one is nice and bright, so it works really well on my nose. And then I'll go ahead and use it on my chin as well. Okay, and then lastly, or well, second to lastly, I'm going to show you guys the setting powder. So as with most flower nose formulas, their setting powders are so finely milled, and they are perfect for if you want the very trendy, especially in China on social media, like the Douyin soft matte marshmallow ultra blurred look. They are perfect for giving you that, and I have noticed that flower nose powders really don't dry out my skin. I just take a powder brush and I really make sure to tap off the excess. I really don't want there to be too much on the brush. So like you really want to make sure it's like kind of rubbed into the brush, and then I just start kind of just very gently tapping it onto my skin. I don't do any kind of buffing or anything that would irritate my skin. And this particular powder packaging has a netting. They're loose powders, they tend to go for nettings as opposed to like sifters. I can really push my brush into the powder and still you can see this perfectly even light layer covering the bristles. So I do really like that. Lastly, I'm going to move on to the lips. So I don't think the Little Angel lipsticks I got will work with this makeup look just because of the fact that the two shades I got are both very, very dark, grungy browns, and I just don't think, I think it'll clash with the eye look. So I'm probably just gonna go for my Swan Ballet lip balms. I'll see if I have a matching shade. So this is the shade 09, I believe. And it looks like this, and it comes with a white lid. So as you can see, these balms are pretty chonky. I mean, you know, it's really pretty. You know, that's the cost for pretty packaging. So I'm just going to, these are like meant to be like melting balms. So I'm just going to roll it up a tiny bit. And I'm gonna just tap it lightly onto my lips. They have a really, really strong candy-ish scent to them, but it's not really like, it doesn't smell awful, but it is a very strong sweet scent. This one is not quite as meltable and mushy as the YSL ones, but it is still on the softer side of things. And you can see it's very flattering to the lip lines. So as far as like melted balms go, it's definitely firmer than other ones I've tried, but you know, I would still be careful with these. Make sure you roll it down, make sure you put the lid on straight. These can, even though they're a little bit firmer, I still could see these being very easily messed up if you're not super careful. So that is going to be the some flower nose products. This is definitely not going to be the only video I make with flower nose in the near future. I still have many other products that I have waiting in the wings to go over with you guys, but here is what I used and here is the final look that I came up with. Oh, I totally forgot to put on contour. I was like, why does my cheek look so blank? Hold on. Let me do that really quickly. The only one that I have from them is going to be the chocolate contour palette. This is still available. I do really like it. I am still considering getting a backup, but this is also like the only shade that it comes in. It does not come in any more shades beyond this. It is really nice quality. The only other contour product I've tried from them was from their teddy bear collection, which is long gone, and it was not really that good at all. I mostly just keep it because it's cute. It's probably never gonna happen. I'm really not gonna hold my breath, but it would be nice to see them release more shades. Overall, it's really nice. I do like it. I do really like how everything looks out. My complexion just looks so perfected and smooth. Sorry that the eye look didn't turn out quite as nice as I was hoping for. This is why advanced planning sometimes is your friend, but I thought I could just go in and wing it. With how much they've improved over the past 2 years, I feel like they are really reaching the point now where it is much more than just a pretty face. It is not just, oh, look how pretty this packaging is. The products inside actually are functional. I do have an affiliate code with Flower Nose that will save you 5% off on the website. It is a really great way to support my channel and to support me as a creator. So if you were interested in making an order through their global website, feel free to use the code, which I'll just stick right here for a few seconds. It is also in my description box of all my videos. So with that all being said, thank you guys so much for watching. I did buy all this myself. I'm not on their PR list. Dream come true if I could be, but not yet. But yeah, So with that out of the way, I will officially end the video here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope to catch you guys in the next one, and until then, take care. Bye-bye.